Hi, my name is Paulina, and this is my colleague, Will. Today, we'll be discussing what stress is and how it affects us, and the different kinds of skills that we can use to cope with stress, both in the long and short term. Now we'll discuss what stress is. So stress is something that everyone encounters in their life. When something in someone's immediate or extended environment changes, a person reacts to that change. They might feel impacted physically, mentally, or emotionally. Basically, your body acts in a way to bring attention to the change that's occurring so that your body is prepared and it has to act differently. So you might want to think about what are some of the events that often make you feel stressed in your life. Many people are used to living with stress, and it can become a norm. And when that happens, people may be unmotivated to act in behaviors that might actually help to control the stress, which we're going to get to in a second. So since stress is a common part of life, sometimes that impacts our daily functioning, and it can have impacts on your body, your mood, and your behavior. So here are some examples of the impacts of stress. And as we go through them, you can think about which ones resonate with you. So in the body, you might feel tension or headaches, changes in your sex drive, difficulty sleeping. In your mood, you might start to feel really irritable and like you have kind of short fuse. You might notice changes in your eating behavior or using substances more than you usually do, maybe socializing less. And in your thoughts and your cognitions, you might notice that you can't concentrate as well, or you're not retaining information in class, or might struggle with decision making. So think about if you've experienced any of this. Now we're going to discuss some ways to cope. The way we like to think about it is that there are 3 levels of coping skills. Level 1 is what you can do in an immediate moment of high stress. Level 2 are daily things that we can do to decrease burnout and make life more manageable. And level 3 are exercises we do for our long-term goals of controlling stress. I'm going to discuss level 1 skills, and then Will's going to discuss the other 2 levels. Level 1 skills are for immediate stress reduction. So these are helpful for when you're in situations at work or in life when something changes unexpectedly and we feel ourselves begin to stress out because this is unknown. So there's a variety of different tools you can use in these contexts, including breathing techniques, grounding exercises, and ways of relaxing your body. And if you check out the description, there are links to all of these kinds of activities that you can practice along with in that description by following the link.
Thanks, Paulina. So to understand how our body responds to stress, I like to make the analogy of our body's stress response kind of being like an automobile. So the 2 main systems of our stress response are the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. It's useful to think of the sympathetic nervous system as the accelerator and the parasympathetic nervous system as the brakes. So we have one system as the gas pedal, the sympathetic nervous system, which oversees arousing our body and is most noted for our flight or fight response in times of danger. When we experience chronic stress, you can think about it as ourselves lightly holding down that gas pedal. And when this happens, we flood our body with a constant stream of a stress hormone called cortisol over an extended period of time. And our parasympathetic nervous system, which can be thought of as the brakes, they work on getting our body back to a state of functioning not under arousal. And it's often is referred to as getting the body back to its rest and digest mode. These practices that we tell you about today will all be evidence-based practices to help lower that amount of stress we all feel and help get our feet off of the gas pedal and allow us to take moments to break throughout the day. So stress is a natural part of all of our lives, and it's important to keep in mind that at some level, stress is unavoidable and even serves us. So the goal is not to eliminate stress, but to reduce it and keep it in check. So by reducing stress, it can provide us with greater control of our own behavior. This works by having us slow down and notice emotions, thoughts, and urges resulting in more thoughtful decision making rather than acting impulsively. Stress reduction can also reduce the amount of emotional suffering and increase pleasure and a sense of well being. It can also help us make important decisions by maintaining a more level composure when we're given a tough decision to make. It can also help us focus our attention and make us more effective and productive if we are in control of our mind and our mind is not in control of us. It can also help us increase compassion for ourselves and others. And lastly, we would be remiss if we did not talk about the role stress plays in health, tension, and pain. Stress can exacerbate illness and injury, and learning how to keep stress in check can improve your overall health and avoid injury in the future. We wanted to plug some level 2 coping measures that are daily activities to manage stress. Some examples include getting daily exercise. Now, this doesn't have to be intense cardiovascular exercise. Even light to moderate exercise for 30 minutes a day has shown itself to play a tremendous role in combating stress. Connecting with others is also a wonderful way to reduce stress, and this doesn't have to be in person. It can be virtual or distance, depending on your comfort level. It can be especially helpful to connect with others and share your stressors. Another way to reduce stress can be through participating in meaningful hobbies that give you a sense of fulfillment. Um, it's also important that you do not let stress rule your life. And if you're unhappy with your work or school, um, having a hobby to look forward to at the end of the day can be a great way to give your days a sense of meaning. Same goes for giving back to the community. This can be a terrific way to feel fulfilled and feel like you're making a difference in helping the world's problems. Here's a link to a mindfulness listening activity that I wanted to share with all of you. Um, it's a good activity to practice because it can be done anywhere if you have a pair of headphones and want to play music, as long as you're not driving. And it involves being present with your experience as you listen to music and noticing what comes up for you. So we're also going to include a link in the description below to a mindfulness listening activity.
Thanks, Will. So now we're going to talk about this level 3, which are some things that you can do to invest in your long-term self-care. This level of self-care helps with coping with loss or other major life changes and increasing overall health and wellness. This can look like many different things, including maintaining healthy habits, seeking out mental health services, and developing a mindfulness practice. So let's first start with maintaining healthy habits. These might seem a little bit obvious, but sometimes life gets in the way, and it's helpful to check in and ask yourself if you're getting your needs met in these fundamental areas. The first is remembering to get regular sleep, which can be a challenge at times, but getting at least 7 to 9 hours and keeping a regular sleep schedule can make a big difference in your overall well-being. Another important point is eating a healthy, nutrient-rich diet. This can definitely be difficult for us all, but again, can go a long way in improving our physical and mental health. You can visit myplate.gov to find out more and find a diet plan that works with your needs. And exercising is another empirically supportive way of improving your physical and mental health. And the best part is even 30 minutes a few times a week can be very beneficial. Any effort, however small it is, can make a difference. Socializing is also important for mental well-being. It's definitely been a challenge in the earlier stages of the pandemic, but if you're vaccinated and following safety guidelines as indicated by the CDC and your local government, you can connect with family and friends to feel connected to those around you and increase well-being. However, if you feel distressed and find it difficult to cope at times like this, please don't hesitate to seek out further mental health support. There can be stigma attached to seeking out mental health support, but that shouldn't stop you from doing so. Your well-being comes first. Also, therapy can be beneficial, not only if there's a problem, but for exploring yourself and understanding yourself better. Some can go to community or religious leaders, and if those are not available to you, you can seek out mental health services. Therapy can be expensive and difficult to access, but there are lots of affordable options available.
Yeah, that's right, Paulina. We've included a bunch of free mental health services in the description below. As you can see, there are free helplines you can call, services dedicated to grief and bereavement, and mental health service and health service centers, and additional services such as a helpline to find free support groups, or just helplines to locate services, the right services for you. You can find all of these services in a resource packet that we'll be sharing below. So now let's get into an effective coping strategy that you can practice at any time, wherever you are. You've probably heard of this already, but I wanted to go into mindfulness and how to practice it in your everyday life. So what exactly is mindfulness? Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose, focused in the present moment, and without judgment. So what does it mean to pay attention without judgment? Judgment often leads us to believe that something is good or bad, and paying attention without judgment means seeing clearly and living fully in the present moment without wondering what your thoughts or your current situation might mean for your past, your present, or your future. Mindfulness can help you to live and participate fully in what you're doing in the present moment instead of being occupied by your current circumstances. A good way to think about this is, imagine you're going on a vacation, and when you get there, the place is a total dump. It's a dirty mess and not what you were looking forward to. It can be tempting to fixate on the negative emotions and how uncomfortable you feel with the situation. But being mindful is all about allowing the self to be intentionally aware of these negative emotions and thoughts, but not letting ourselves fixate on them and letting our minds run away with them. Instead, we can validate our experiences of discomfort and choose what we want to fixate on. So you can say that this is not ideal, but how can I make the most of this moment and my time here? This is what it means to not attach or place judgment on the experiences you have. Practicing mindfulness has many benefits, including greater clarity, greater focus, stress reduction, less depressive symptoms and rumination, and less emotional reactivity. The best part is, this is the kind of practice you can do anywhere. With that being said, I thought it would be helpful if we included a link to a mindfulness activity. So we've included a link to a mindful practice called Leaves on a Stream, and it's included in our description below. So please take a moment to pause this video and practice this guided meditation. So it's also important to keep in mind that mindfulness is a skill. And it can be developed the more and more you practice. We've included a bunch of apps, YouTube channels, websites, and a documentary for you here to check out. If you want to learn more about guided practice on mindfulness exercises, I just want to give everyone a note of caution to start out small when you're practicing mindfulness, and don't try to meditate for 30 minutes because you will get distracted. So try to start out small with maybe a 2-minute guided mindful practice, or even 30 seconds. And here's just a link to more free mental health services that we have. And thanks for joining us today. This presentation was brought to you by the Center for Psychological Services of the Rutgers Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology in collaboration with the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services. The Disaster and Terrorism Branch offers this crisis counseling program through a Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, SAMHSA grant. This program was brought to you through the New Jersey Hope and Healing Crisis Counseling Program. All the resources from this presentation will be included in the description below.
Thank you.